Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This week we're going to be doing another cosplay look, but with a little bit of a gory twist. This is going to be a look of Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy VII. The first half of this video is just going to be your typical cosplay look for Tifa, and the second half of the video is going to be the bruised post-brawl version of Tifa. So yeah, let's just get started. We're going to start out with a moisturized face and go ahead and put on some primer. Then we're going to go in with a full coverage foundation. As with most cosplay looks, you want your base to be as flawless as possible. So just go ahead and put on your full coverage foundation and blend it in with a brush or sponge. Then I went in with my trusty Erase Paste concealer to cover up my dark circles or any areas that had a little bit of extra redness. Again, we want the base to be flawless, so really go crazy with the concealer. I then went in with a highlighting concealer and focused that around my eyes and on some high points of my face just to bring a little bit of extra brightness to those areas. To prevent creasing, I set my under eye area with my usual Kat Von D powder. This is essential for me, especially when I'm at conventions. Next is the brows. I went in with a dark brown matte eyeshadow. I find that this looks a lot more natural than if I went in with straight up black, so I just use the powder and I fill in any sparse areas on my brows. I don't change the shape too much, but I definitely make my arch and the tip of my brow a little bit more pointed than I normally would. And you're gonna look real intense after one brow is done. Then to set everything, I still use my typical brow gel just to make sure nothing moves around. And by this point, I feel like the foundation has really settled into my skin, so then I go in with a loose translucent powder just to set everything. I wanted to keep Tifa's eye look pretty natural, but I still wanted there to be something interesting to look at. So first go in with an eyeshadow that is 1 or 2 shades lighter than your natural skin tone, and put that as a base all over the lid. Then I went in with my ever-trusty taupe from the Lorac Pro palette, and I used that in my crease. I really wanted to make this crease a very soft, kind of feminine look, so make sure when you're doing this to add a little bit of pigment at a time and blend it out. You're really going to want to focus on this blending process. Then I went in with a matte dark brown eyeshadow and I put that on my outer corner. Again, I really took my time here, building up the color to the intensity that I wanted. I didn't want this to be a full-on smoky eye, but I did want there to be a little bit of extra dimension once this look was finished. So I took my time really building up that color until I got the desired intensity. I then made sure to blend out any harsh lines. I took that same dark brown eyeshadow on my lower lash line, and then I went in with a slightly shimmery nude shade and only put that around the inner corner just to give the eyes a little bit of pop. I then used a matte white shade as my brow highlight. And then I went in to do my winged liner. So for this, I didn't want the wing to be super huge. I wanted it to be kind of small. I still wanted it to be pointed, but again, I didn't want it to be like, 60s Amy Winehouse dramatic. So keep the winged liner pretty small here. Do the best you can. I definitely struggled a little bit, as you can see. It takes me a long time. Then I went in with a black pencil and I lined my waterline and tightline. I added a little bit of mascara, and then I went ahead and put on some falsies. These falsies by Ardell are my absolute favorites. They're the Demi Wispies. I think, especially for cosplay, they look really natural and really nice. So again, your eyes are going to look ginormous by the end of this. And now we're moving on to the contouring. I love using this kind of brush for my cosplays because I use this tapered end to lay down the product and give my initial line, and then I use the flat part to actually blend out the product. I just find that using the more slanted edge of the brush gives a much more precise application of the contour, and then you can use the flat edge of the brush to blend it out and make it look a lot more seamless. As with most anime or video game characters, they have a very slim nose, so I am contouring my nose here, just slimming it down a little bit. And don't worry if you feel like you've done it too intensely. What I did here is I went back in with my concealer brush and I just dabbed over any areas that I thought I made a little bit too intense with my contour. Also with cosplay, don't forget to contour your chin and jawline just to add a little bit more definition. I then went in with a pink blush that had a very, very subtle shimmer to it just to give my face a little bit of color. And then I went in with a subtle highlight to tie everything together. For the lips, I went with a Your Lips But Better type of shade for me. So I first went in with a liner that was more of a pinky brown, and then over top of the liner I used a MAC lipstick. And that's pretty much it for Tifa's makeup. It's a really simple and easy cosplay look, and I feel like everybody could do this type of makeup. So if you want to look like you just got punched in the face by Sephiroth, go ahead and keep watching and I'll show you how to do some bruises. So first, what you're going to do is you're going to take one of these little disposable wedge sponges, and the flat end, you're going to just start picking pieces off. You're going to want to make this as irregular as possible until it looks a little something like this. Because I'm putting this bruise on my cheek, the blood would pool around the actual cheekbone, so that's why you want to leave that area blank. To start, I'm using a red cream paint with a little bit of brown, and I'm drawing the outline and general shape of the bruise that I want. Don't worry about making this an even application. The more uneven and asymmetrical this looks, the more realistic it's going to be. I then went in with a dark purple and I kept that a little bit closer to the cheekbone. I still use the same technique of dabbing it and not really worrying about making it perfectly even. Going back in with the purple shade I used earlier, I dabbed that around kind of my occipital bone. You can kind of feel where it is. After laying down the color, I would then tap it out with my finger. As you can see, I'm just kind of following my bone structure and my occipital bone and putting varying shades of reds and purples and even a little bit of brown just to give that really bruised and irritated texture. And finally, we're going to move on to a really easy way to do a busted lip. Using the same red cream paint I've been using this whole time, I drew a very thin line on my top and bottom lip, making sure that they looked like they were connected. Then, going in with some coagulated blood, I just added that on top of the red line that I'd initially made. You can add as much or as little coagulated blood as you want. I just felt like adding a little bit, and then any excess that was on the spatula I would tap around the wound to make it look like the blood had moved around a little. I even added a little bit of fresh blood to the wound to make it look like it was still actively bleeding. And that's it. Now you're busted up Tifa. But let's be serious, she's probably doing a lot more damage than people are doing to her because she is a boss-ass bitch. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and please leave in the comments or tweet at me any other characters you'd like to see me do or any other busted up versions you'd like to see me do. I'd love to hear your suggestions. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!